Welcome to our PhilanthroInvestors webinar tonight. I want to introduce our special guest, Skye Logan. He's the CEO of PhilanthroInvestors. And Skye is going to give a little bit of info on himself tonight, but also on the company and what the mission is. And we've been working with PhilanthroInvestors, Ivan Hans, Equity and Help with a lot of their programs. And there's a lot of different things that PhilanthroInvestors offers that I want to highlight this evening. So Skye, thank you so much for jumping on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very welcome, Jerry.
Perfect. Well, if you could give just a quick introduction to yourself. I know that you've been doing a lot of big things in the business world, and you're the CEO of PhilanthroInvestors now, and doing a lot of great stuff there too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So a quick background on myself. I have, I don't want to spend too much time here on me, but I definitely am. I've been part of this group for quite a while. I previously lived in Puerto Rico. I live here now. I just moved a couple of weeks ago back, take advantage of the tax advantages and various other things. But yeah, I lived here previously, moved up to the Clearwater, Tampa area to work with Equity and Help. I met Ivan Hans back in 2018, I believe it was 2019. I heard about the mission. In my whole life, I've been very philanthropic, humanitarian, just huge. I weigh men by their ability to serve others and help others, and their value to the marketplace and all that kind of stuff. And I always have, and I've always wanted to give back to society. And when I met Ivan, I heard about Equity and Help, and I heard about all this, and I'm like, man, that's exactly what I want to do. So went up to Florida. Did that for quite a while, helped Equity and Help build that portfolio up to well over 600 homes, 60 million portfolio now, 3-time Inc. 500 company. I put their sales line in, and I did various other things with their investors and things like that. So did that for quite a while, then went off and did real estate. I've been a mortgage loan officer, I've been a realtor, I've done a lot of different stuff investing in the real estate world, and went off to do my own thing for a little bit. I just wasn't being satisfied at all. And Ivan and friend Artie Marin, which I know many of you know as well. They just kind of brought me back into the fold. Long story, very short. Yeah, they just brought me back to the fold, gave me the opportunity to partner up, take the CEO position of PhilanthroInvestors, which I did in December. So I'm excited to, they're ready to scale PI. And I'm ready to help them do that and take it even more of a global brand. And so that's why we're here. I'm excited to work with Wealth Dynamics and many of our other ambassadors and financial educators out there in the world. And that's kind of my story.
That's awesome. Thanks, Skye. So for Wealth Dynamics and just Skye, so you're kind of tracking with some of the synergies. So our company, we're about helping our clients achieve a life of abundance and prosperity in all dynamics, and obviously being able to financially fund that. And so one of the things that I love so much about PhilanthroInvestors is the fact that it isn't just a financial return. In my opinion, in investment, that's kind of a level playing field. You kind of expect that from anything you invest in. So can you kind of give us, like, what is PhilanthroInvestors, what makes it different, and what's the real purpose?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, in any investment, you're right. That is 11. You expect to get some kind of return from an investment. So you got a whole bucket. You got thousands of those out there. They're going to give you some kind of return, varying return. So that's a given. And, ears start perking up when you start going over 10% and you start, 12%, 13, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a given. So what we want to do, obviously, with PhilanthroInvestors, so it's philanthropy and investing. So we're not talking, it's not charity, it's philanthropy. We're not looking to give away anyone's money. We're not looking to give away my money. What we're looking to do is we want to maximize that energy, that money, that dollar, that investment capital in a direction that's going to help the global change, right? The movement that we see, that we vet these companies, and they're doing some kind of good. It's not just a hedge fund. It's not just some index, or it's not some other stock that you're not quite sure what it's going to. You might not support, without going into anyone's personal beliefs or whatever it is. Maybe you don't support Apple. Well, if you're investing in some hedge fund, you have no control over what that investment, it could be going to Apple Farm. You're like, wait a minute, I hate apples. I'm allergic to apples. Like, so with this, you actually have more control. It's going to something, education. I love education. I have this, I have kids, I'm a teacher. Great. You know, you have a little bit of control to it, but it's literally going toward, you're going to make that return. You're familiar with Equity Help. As you said, man, their fourth quarter report was, I think it was like over 13, a tad bit over 13% average cap rate across the portfolio. And I'm like, man, so you are helping needy families, getting them into homes, helping a single mother, helping them get a home ownership, and the investor's making a 13% return, and he's getting his monthly dividend return. Like, that's a no-brainer, right? So that's the same thing with all the rest of our companies, which we'll go into here in just a minute. But the big overview of PhilanthroInvestors is to make a global change. We want to change that conscious level of investing towards something that's going to do a little bit of improvement, or a lot of improvement.
Yeah, and I love that about it, because I think about kind of the exponential ripple effect, right? When we get to a critical mass of people that are investing and they're helping, you know, providing housing or cleaning up the water supply, or some of the different things we'll talk about tonight. You know, I kind of envision what that looks like on a big scale. And that's, for me, a very exciting thing to be a part of. And it's a lot bigger than just investing. So I used to be a financial advisor, and like you said, you would invest in portfolios. Some of them, you know, supported pharmaceuticals, some of them supported nuclear warfare, like different things that I wasn't really a fan of. But if you're going to invest in them, you're kind of just stuck with it. And so I love that about Equity and Help. So can you kind of give us an overview of, like, our clients are pretty familiar with Equity and Help. Can you give us an overview of what else is going on with PhilanthroInvestors, the other services, the other portfolio products you guys offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always growing. You know, we have an entire line on how to bring on either M&A, mergers, acquisitions, or partnering up with someone, or creating our own company. So that line is, I plan on maximizing that. So that's growing, like literally by the end of this. Already there's 3 different companies that are going to be coming about quite shortly here. But right now, so we'll talk about the current scene right now. So in the water philanthro investing area, so we have Origin Clear, which is doing tremendous things in the water in that area. They're literally, their subsidiary Water on Demand is, by the end of this year, I'm not giving, I'm not a SEC attorney, or I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't be saying what's going to happen. But the current path is Water on Demand is going to be a publicly traded company on NASDAQ by the end of the year. That is a fairly inevitable outcome, depending on when that happens. I don't know, but yeah, Putnam's working with them, and they are moving in that direction. And so we're talking about fintech. Water is a financial fintech company. And they're going to be an incubator of sorts with the other water companies that they're acquiring. And they're just doing tremendous things with Origin Clear, with Water on Demand. And so that's that area in the water, and they're putting these, some of you might have seen some of the, you get on the website, on our website, PhilanthroInvestors.com, look at water. That'll link you to a lot of great information and what's going on. It's just such a huge amount of progress that they're making. It's impossible to go over on one webinar. But so there's that. We got health. So in the health arena, so FiOS is one of our venture partners, and FiOS stands for knowledge, just kind of knowing where you're at. And it is for the tech gurus and stuff. For what they're doing is they're in the field of genomics, predictive disease modeling. So obviously the United States is a disease-based model, right? We all can say that. It's whatever, we can get into the whole belief system on this, but AMA, APA, etc., they really like us sick. They make money when we're sick, right? They can give us meds, they can do this and that. It's a disease-based model. Even if they don't want us to be sick, it is still disease-based. Good. I get sick, I go to the hospital, I get treated, I get cancer treatment, I get whatever treatment that I'm going to be getting. Now, what if we can compile all these different data points on the genomics and with blood and with all these different things, and all the different files that you have from all these different medical providers, and it's under one database. So they're compiling this huge database and this network within FiOS that they were going to be able to better predict. Imagine if you had a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year prediction on your path. Hey, this is where my body is currently headed, given current environmental circumstances, given my genes, giving all this other stuff that's happening. This is the current path of it. And they show you this entire breakdown, and it's an at-home thing instead of waiting for 3 weeks to get with your specialist, right? They can provide this entire service at home. Right? So that's absolutely crazy, and that's taking off fantastically. In the environment area, we have Z-Loop, centered in Dubai. And currently, you're up to about 15,000 users, taking off hugely in India, LATAM, or the Latin Americas, South America, and so forth. But what they're doing is, imagine being able to, Jerry, you're out, you're picking up bottles. You pick up 10 plastic bottles, right? Take a picture of your bottles. So you have this app called Z-Loop. You can all look, Z-E-L-O-O-P. Take a picture of your bottles, throw it in the recycling bin or whatever bin. You either create it or it's literally a recycling bin in your garage, whatever. You immediately get rewarded. They have their own digital currency, ECW. Those Echo rewards is what that is. So this digital currency, you get rewarded this digital currency for immediately picking up. And the value on this digital currency is far greater than what you would get at a standard recycling center as well. So you get rewarded. Right now, you're able to trade that in for goods and services. The part of the work of the company work, of course, the investors' money goes into within a few months, that will actually be exchangeable for cash. Okay. But right now it's exchangeable for goods and services, along with a lot of different partners. This partnered up with Z-Loop. So anyways, about 15,000 users. They've got kids, they got people doing this full time. And where these economics in India and South America and stuff a little bit different than the US, it's taken off like crazy. But what it's doing, it's working to handle plastics in the ocean. And we've all heard of this Texas-sized island of plastic out in the Pacific, right? Yeah, we've heard that. Right.
Yeah, we've seen just massive. Yeah.
Massive. Imagine having a program. So again, this is a movement that we're pushing forward with Z-Loop, where great, we're going to utilize people that are sitting around, utilize technology, utilize phones, utilize this digital currency thing, all these different things. We're just going to utilize them in a fashion where we're going to help solve that problem. The problem is, people look right now, like I'm in Puerto Rico, dude. I'm literally looking at a golf course in the ocean on my back porch right now. Okay, I don't see plastics floating around. I don't see a bunch of huge problems. It's a gorgeous, well-manicured area. The problem is, a lot of us live in these areas. The problem's over there. Like, oh, I don't see this problem. So PhilanthroInvestors, myself and the team, one thing we have to consider is good. Let's not look at only our own area. And two, let's extrapolate this data, not just 5 years down the road, 20 years down. Let's extrapolate this and let's draw it out 100 years. What's the path? What's the trend look like? If this problem doesn't get solved, what does it look like for my children, my children's children, my grandchildren? What does that look like 100 years down the road, right? Newport Beach, California, Laguna Beach, California. Beach going to look like in 100 years if we did zero, right? So all of these problems we're working to solve, whether water, whether health, housing, environment, we're not only looking right now, we're looking at 100-year path. That's what we're working to solve.
I think that's huge. And it's kind of silly, but when I was a kid, my favorite movie was the Lorax. I don't know if you guys have seen that, where they cut down all the trees and it progressively just gets worse and worse. I loved that cartoon. And so I remember at the end of the movie, looking at that and seeing like that actually kind of is happening at different areas. So one thing, actually, if you're on the webinar tonight and if you're watching live or the replay, I want everyone to take your phone out for just a second. I want you to go to your app store and download an app called Z-Loop. Okay, that's Z-E-L-O-O-P. Okay, and that's the one that Skye had mentioned, where you can actually, obviously you can invest with Z-Loop through PhilanthroInvestors, but as an individual, you can participate. You can actually pick up trash and you can set it at drop-off points. You can get paid with their digital currency and participate in that side of it too. So if everyone could take a minute and do that, and that way you can start, activating that in your area too. So Skye, with Philanthro investing, kind of tell us like what's coming up next? Like, what are some of the projects you guys are working on? Obviously things that you're able to talk about tonight, but anything new that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's the watchword right there. What can I talk about at this moment? Well, one, I don't usually like to say what is coming because I'd rather tell what has already happened, kind of thing, because you never know. There's so much work that has to get involved. If I'm bringing on an air company, let's say, good, we want a target replacing the ozone, right? Reducing CO2 emissions in the air. We want to look at projects that do that. We're going to search out the company that's doing that, the greatest, like what we feel, what's been vetted to be one of the greatest companies, groups on the planet, right? It's a huge amount of work to do this kind of thing, to partner up, or however it's going to happen with a acquisition or partnership or whatever happens. It's tremendous on attorney work back and forth and the time frame on to do that. So even to go, oh, this is coming up, this is 60-day window, we're going to have a blah blah. You just can't predict that's what's going to happen. So like I said, I've got 3 different companies on the docket, so to speak, that we're looking at bringing in. So that news will come whenever it does happen. But the point is connecting up with Philanthro investors. Everyone can connect up with us, just via Wealth Dynamics. And the point is, we vet these companies. They are early seed, early series companies. So, the risk in any early series companies is a little bit higher sometimes, but the payout is exponentially greater, investment wise, just dollar wise. But not only that, but just what you're doing, what you're contributing to. And they just need to follow your guidance, Jerry, and their financial advisors that could, whatever portion of your portfolio, whatever your risk tolerance is across your portfolio, whether you're running a family office or you're running whatever, good. You just got to determine for yourself, what is that risk tolerance? Allocate X portion of that portfolio towards a philanthropic means. Good. Make it philanthropic investment means. Connect up with Philanthro investors. We've already done all the work, the vetting process. Whenever whenever we're directing you to some of these guys, we can provide you with all this info, and you just have to stay on the radar. That's all. And you connect
Absolutely.
up with like with you, and you're great at directing them to and working with our president, with Bendy, on directing them to the correct investment that might fit them, but maybe all of them. I've got several investors even right now, that are doing investments on every single one of them, because they just love it. They're with Origin Clear, they're loving it, or they're with Equity and Health and they love it, or whatever they're with, and they want to get involved with every single one of them. So feel free to do that.
That's awesome. No, Skye, some of these are for accredited investors only, and then some of them are open for non-accredited. Is that right?
That's correct. So, yep. So Origin Clear right now through the end of this month-ish, roughly, it could change. They actually have a Regulation A offering. So they actually, right now, you don't even have to be accredited for Origin Clear and for water on demand, okay? Equity and Help, as you know, you don't have to be accredited investor, with them as well. And with Z-Loop, it's actually, a company's actually out of Dubai. So you don't have to be an accredited investor with Z-Loop as well. So with FiOS you do.
Okay, very cool. So one of the ones that I'm very intrigued by is Origin Clear, and I've done some investing and work with like oil and gas drilling, which obviously is a little bit different. But tell us a little bit about Origin Clear. I know that is there a drilling investment, and then there's also one that's actually kind of a portable. It can be put in with water systems. Like, tell us a little bit about how the company works and what effect is being created as a result of Origin Clear.
Yeah, so what they're doing, they have a lot of different subsidiary companies. I've even lost track of how many that they do have, but you've got Enviramod, you've got obviously Water on Demand, which is the finance tech company portion of Origin Clear, and you've got the modular water systems. So what these systems, so let's just take the Veramod or modular water system. They're dropping in these huge tanks, or imagine even cleaning up a pond, a huge pond. So they've got this, I think, I forget how many patents they currently hold, 25 plus or whatever, that they drop in these huge systems, and their technology, and they clean up these ponds and this wastewater and all this stuff. Okay, so that's one of their systems that they have. And they're also providing, so water right now is decentralized. So you've got this decentralized water, okay? The water infrastructure across the US is completely maxed out. So what you have is, I was in California, lived there for 25 years, right? You've had this huge hike rates and the rates and the water meter rates and things like that. Well, a lot of people don't know is only 11% of the water usage throughout all of California is residential. Okay, 89% is industrial and farming that are not regulated. So all of their water usage that they get tax benefits on and all this stuff, all of the regulations and the taxes, they get pushed down to the 11%. So you've got these huge hikes in the rates on the metering and stuff like that. So, and now it's starting to come fast. A lot of these industrial and these farming companies, they're just going to start going in the direction where they're going to be taxed, they're going to be regulated. So what Water on Demand does is they go in and they put in, on top of that, you've only got 1% of the water that's even being recycled. So you're having to pay for 99% of your water usage. So Origin Clear, Water on Demand, and Veramod, this entire corporation goes in. Imagine this farm that's supplying all the soybeans across the US. They go in and they put this, we're all familiar with these municipal recycling centers, right? Imagine an entire water treatment plant, these recycling systems, all in this compact, small unit that the company goes in and they put in on this farm, okay? And now it's not municipal. Now they're not having to pay these municipal prices, and they're recycling the majority of it. So it's not being wasted and it's not being dumped in the ocean, creating more and more problems down the road. So now these systems are metered. So the investor actually receives this, just like, imagine owning the municipal water system. It's just metered. You're kind of forced to pay the meter and you're forced to make money off of it. So it's actually a metered, this investment that you receive depending on what you invest in exactly. So this is this system for commercial, farming, industrial. They have quite a few contracts with hotel chains and various things where they're putting in these systems. It's completely recycled, completely handle the majority of the water needs of the entire hotel system. So I can use an example of, it's not residential systems at this point. They're going industrial, they're going commercial, farming, of course, these huge systems and very large contracts. Kind of give you an idea on that. So Water on Demand is that fintech. What they're doing is they're just acquiring all these companies. They're doing any kind of good throughout these various markets, these water system companies, and eventually it's absolutely taken off like crazy. So eventually they'll probably be the leader throughout the entire US for the entire water industry, to be honest.
That's incredible. And actually I had a close friend that he invested in water subdivisions, and that was more residential, but I get what you mean. It's very locked up, right? So it's a stable, steady investment. It's definitely something that is becoming more and more scarce. I remember seeing the movie The Big Short. At the end, the guy, Michael Burry, that does all the trading, he said he's investing in water. That's the primary thing he's putting his money into because it is becoming such a scarce commodity.
Yeah, I mean, as Origin Clear says, it's the blue gold. I mean, it's just going to be, we've always heard that. I mean, I started hearing that, I don't know, maybe a decade ago, 7, 8, 10 years ago, water is will be the new oil, and it'll be traded. And you start going, what? No, it's crazy. We have so much of it. But you start looking again, you start extrapolating the data points. You go, oh my gosh, this planet is not in good shape. And they are absolutely right. Water will be fought for. Wars will be fought over this.
That's incredible. So Skye, if I'm looking at this, let's say I'm an investor and I'm trying to figure out which one does the thing I needed to do. Equity and help is more of an income play. I'm getting passive income. I'm getting growth from that on the appreciation lock-in. What does the growth look like on the other ones as far as how it happens?
Well, as far as what the growth is, obviously that's a call that has to happen with our investment, our lead partner, like with Origin Clear. Anyone can set up a call, via you with Vindy to talk about that. So again, with Origin Clear, water on demand, it really depends what they invest in. If they're doing Regulation D investment, they're doing Regulation A, if they're investing in the actual, the public, the water on demand going public and the assets, they're investing in the metered watering, etc. So again, I don't have control of that. Our lead partner, Ken Behringer over there at Water on Demand, is the key one that talks to each investor on what they want to do, what are they looking for. So that's the biggest advice is, I don't know. You're just gonna have to talk to the lead partner over there, Ken Behringer, and kind of sketch that out for yourself.
Okay, awesome. And it sounds like for most of us that are watching, the main thing is if we're looking to invest, you can reach out to me. We can get you connected with PhilanthroInvestors, with Skye and his team. And then from there, what is the process like, Skye? Is an investor going to be taken through kind of the fact finding on what their interests and needs are? And what does that kind of roll out as for someone that's going to maybe sign up to invest?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the initial call is just hey, get to know each other. Who are you? What are your goals? What are your investment goals? What's your qualifications? One investment goals. You're looking for passive, you're looking for growth, etc. And two, what's your interest in life? Health, water, housing, etc. All that kind of, because it's a little bit of a different investment. You get to choose like where your money is going to be going. So good. What's your interest level? Is it education or whatever? So yeah, it's that conversation. It's a very easy conversation with the president, PhilanthroInvestors, Vindy Rios. She's the queen. And then once that happens, then she will set up the next call with the appropriate lead partner, whether it's, again, Origin Clear, whether it's BIOS, Equity and Health, Z-Loop, etc. Okay.
Awesome. Very cool. And then where can people learn more about PhilanthroInvestors? Do you guys have I know that there's a PhilanthroInvestors book for real estate. Are there any other books, courses, or materials people can get their hands on to learn more?
Yeah, there'll be more books coming out, but right now it is the Housing PhilanthroInvestors book only. We obviously have the website. It's kind of easy to get to, pi.today, kind of an easy way to get there. Where it's a slew of information. We've got our YouTube channel, lots of videos there. We've got our blog on our website where we have a lot of interviews with each of the CEOs and founders of each of the companies can be found in there. So yeah, no other books at the moment.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, I think we're going to be wrapping up for here tonight. We're just a quick one with Skye Logan this evening. If you're interested in learning more, if you're looking at investing in Equity and Help, Z-Loop, Origin Clear, you can reach out to me directly. Send me an email, jerry@wealthdynamics.com, and we would love to get you connected with them to learn more. And then we also do have a boot camp coming up in about 2 months. And so we've got a couple of guest speakers that are going to be at that boot camp that are very connected with PhilanthroInvestors, and we'll probably be able to talk even more about it then too. So Skye, is there anything else you want to impart to us before we wrap up for this evening?
No, I just want to say thank you. I love you. I love the Wealth Dynamics crew. Absolutely. Every single one of the investors that comes in through you is educated. They know what they're doing. They know where they want to head. And it's absolute pleasure to have an experienced investor, just someone that kind of, good, I know where I'm heading. This is what I got. They don't mess around and they just kind of get right at it. So I love your crew. And so yeah, thank you for having me on, for sure.
Hey, absolutely. And on that note, guys, I want to just kind of leverage that we're very big on training and education. So we just launched our new training points contest for the month of April. If you're a client, reach out to Samantha Esteleo, let her know you want to get more training in. We're going to include the PhilanthroInvestors book as something you can get training points on. And to Skye's point, our vendors, our partners, our service providers, they love working with clients that have been doing their homework, that have been getting educated, and putting those hours in to become financially literate. So you heard it from Skye himself. You guys are the best. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to everyone again soon.